Open your eyes.
If you are wondering why everything going on in the world feels so terribly off, then you have come to the right place. A veil has been put over the eyes of humanity. Evil people in high places have been hiding the truth in plain sight and building a false reality on lies and deception for far too long. And now, their time is coming to an end. It's time to fight back, to wake up, and to begin an uprising. Now is a time for judgment.
This is a time for judgment. Welcome to today's show. Enciaga. I'm going to get into more detail. Some of the photos that they scrubbed from the internet, because now if you go to their Instagram account, conveniently they have 0 posts up. All of a sudden, they were so nervous after people saw some of the photos that they were posting and some of the stuff that they were doing with the bondage and children. They decided that they wanted to scrub the internet of that, and how convenient of them, right? But luckily, there's people out there who downloaded the pictures, who screenshotted it, and now people can actually look into this, and it's similar to that other incident we had with pizza. But before I get into it, I want to remind everyone to sub to my backup channel, because covering these topics specifically, once they get wind of it, I mean, they'll either age restrict it or they'll strike it down. They don't want truth out there. They don't want you showing things that people are posting, which is all people were doing with the pizza situation years ago, was showing Instagram posts that were public and, you know, calling it out and saying how disgusting it was. And they were like, oh, this is dangerous and a threat to our democracy type of stuff. So make sure you sub to my other channel. Let's get into some of these other photos that were found, and I'll continue covering it if more stuff ends up coming up. So obviously, most of you already saw the video I did in regards to the photographs that were posted with, you know, teddy bears and bondage, kids with like handcuffs and all this stuff on the table. And then, of course, if anybody out there wanted to look at it and say, oh, you're looking too deep into it, they actually posted documents, court documents, that had to do with normalizing these types of acts with children that are inappropriate on the internet. So they were flat out telling you what they were doing, and they're not stopping. They don't seem to care anymore. Their foot's on the gas, and they know how dumbed down society is. Specifically, it's really all people who identify as Democrats, liberals. They're the people. They're the problem. And it's really just the hive mind is what it is, which they've been telling us for years about. They've molded these people into defending their party instead of coming out and saying, you know what, this type of stuff is disgusting. These celebrities need to be investigated. That's what people should be saying, but they're not. So here's one picture that was posted that's, couldn't be more obvious. You see Enciaga, right? Balenciaga. But in the picture with the little child, it's spelled Baal, as in Baal worship. Oh, I'm so surprised that we have Baal worship right in front of our faces, because that's what this is. This is all biblical. And in Jeremiah chapter 32, verse 35, it says, and they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire unto Moloch, which I commanded them not, neither came it into my mind that they should do this abomination to cause Judah to sin. So Baal sacrifice in the Bible and Baal worship is very prominent in the Old Testament. The ritual sacrifice of children is something that is very rampant in today's society, and it's never stopped being rampant. The difference is with technology now, it's much, much easier for people to spot this stuff because they're starting to look for this stuff, right? Now, years ago when I was covering this, there weren't as many people covering SRA and that type of stuff. Now a lot of people have caught on and are covering it, which is great, because that's, the purpose of my channel when I started it, to expose these people, to expose what they're doing to children, the abuse that's done, and how they're trying to normalize these things. So people are seeing it, and they're putting, they're connecting the dots more so now. Now we have a portion of our society, I'd say half, that are starting to connect the dots. Because again, this does have to do with Republicans and Democrats, because the Democratic people are so hive-minded into caring about nonsensical things like trannies and all this stuff that is just totally insane as it is that they're even fighting for that, let alone the fact that they agree with it and think it should be done, that they see stuff like this and they try to just dismiss it. They don't address it. That's kind of what the Democratic Party does, right? They don't address any of these things. They just ignore it and they turn a blind eye to it and they pretend like they don't care, or they pretend like it's not actually happening. So you have the Baal worship, and you could see like the panda, which is another thing from Pizzagate, of course, that I talked about with the panda and the panda eyes. This has to do with something that they do as far as black eyes are concerned with children, but you can't go into graphic detail here. And you see the bunny rabbit, of course. There's a lot of references to the rabbit, and including the rabbit hole. Then you have this woman sitting at her desk, and this is where it couldn't be more obvious. She's got a book, Michael Borman, okay? Michael Borman's photos sitting on her desk. And if you look up Michael Borman and you see some of the photos that Michael Borman has drawn, well, let's take a look. Well, we see a group of children with no clothing on. We see a child with blood on his chest, almost like some type of ritualistic, handprint on his chest. And we see cannibalism with kids. Now, when I see a picture like this, obviously I want to put a hole through the wall, but I also think of so many of the things that we all saw at Pizzagate. I think of Stephen King, who continues to get away with his involvement in this stuff and his involvement in programming. You see this, he's a liberal loon on the internet now, and nobody ever mentions Stephen King, that the ending of the ending in the book revolved around all of the children having an orgy together. That was the ending of the book. Okay? I mean, hello? And nobody's ever called. I mean, I've called them out for years. My videos have been taken down talking about it. But that's what I see, think of when I see this. Reminds me of, that graphic ending. But you see cannibalism with children. You see ritualistic cannibalism with them, right? They're covered in blood in the other picture. They're all red. It looks like they've all, rubbed blood on themselves. And of course, then you see all these pictures that he's drawn of Druid priests, right? In ritual circles. But again, it's all a conspiracy, right? These people don't dress up in Druid cloaks. They only show us this 99 times a day on television in horror movies and things like that. They don't commit ritual sacrifice. History only tells us that this stuff has been going on. This stuff's not just tribal. This stuff goes back, to things like the blood libel, where these people have had a thirst for human flesh and human blood. But everybody thinks it's, they've glorified it with vampires and all that type of crap. And and zombies, right? Eating flesh. Think about all the things in our society that have normalized this type of crap. So people see this and they're like, oh, that's a stretch. Oh, yeah. It looks like they're committing a ritual sacrifice of an animal. And there's more pictures, of course, of Druids, because why wouldn't there be? You have people, these types of things, like where have we seen this? Where there's a woman with her face covered. And I don't know if it's black goo or blood based on the way the picture is, filtered. But we see this a lot too in Hollywood, right? How many of these celebrities do we see wearing this over their face? Kanye West, right? Where they cover their face completely. Kim Kardashian at the Met Gala. And you just go, is anybody suspicious? And apparently the answer is no, but people, they should start looking into this stuff, because if you're a human and you have a soul, these things should bother you. And again, I get upset because so many Christians look at this stuff and they're like, oh, I can't think about that stuff. What do you think? I want to think about it? You think I want to, I'm enjoying myself talking about this? They're like, it's too dark. I got to stay positive. And, that's a sign of weakness to me, because nobody wants to cover this stuff. Nobody wants to talk about it. It makes my stomach turn. It makes me really angry. It makes me really mad. But if you don't see these things and we don't get people to realize what's going on, and that this all is a spiritual battle, which is another way, of course, to help people find Christ and accept Christ and read their Bible once they see the wickedness and what they're doing and who these people are, right? Because if you see it and you're like, wow, these people worship the devil. Well, wouldn't that tell you that God exists and they're worshiping the devil? And the Bible tells us in prophecy all about these Satanists and how in the end times, they're going to turn on God, and there's going to be a falling away. And these are all things that are occurring right now. I'm not saying, obviously I believe we're in the end times. So yeah, I am saying that. I don't know the day or the hour. No one does. But let's be realistic. It's getting pretty bad out there. It's getting pretty bad. So These are just some things, they have on their Instagram account. Like, this is supposed to be like one of the most prominent fashion lines. Apparently, I didn't know this until now. I never heard of them, but I'm not into that stuff. Balenciaga, right? And they have Taylor Swift, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, Cardi B. I mean, there's, rapping about them. There's just a long list of celebrities. They're always like glorifying these people. And then they've been doing stuff like this in front of everybody. And then they get caught because they go a little bit too far where, the picture with the Baal, like, you can't expect many people to understand what they're saying or see that. But then when you see a teddy bear, wearing like bondage, like she's the teddy bear's Madonna, people, they're like, this is ridiculous. This is sickening. Oops, sorry about that. And they take everything down. They scrub the internet, and then they have the mainstream media cover for them. And they were like, well, whatever was up, it was muddy that was what Newsweek said, muddying the waters. We don't really know. They took everything down. We can't confirm that. Because, of course, they don't want people investigating them, because people at Newsweek, the editors there, they're all in on it too. They've infiltrated everything. And that's what people don't get, how rampant this is. Like, people in your life, but you don't know, that are actually in this and involved. And you probably come across somebody every day when you're out in public, or multiple people. Go to the grocery store, and they disguise themselves as, a businessman. Oh, he's got a head on his shoulders. Oh, they act all this, so mature and so well-spoken. That's what they've done to deceive the masses. And they've built this thing out over the last 60 years where they've infiltrated every single business, every industry, and that's why they're going forward now. That's why they're going forward. And again, on the website, I talk about, I'm reading the book to people about satanic ritual abuse treatment, because if, this is important information to know, because you probably know somebody who was diagnosed as schizophrenic or something else in your life, and they don't know why they're that way. Because trauma-based mind control, people shut their minds off. They don't know how to access this. And something happens along the way for some people where suddenly they have flashbacks and memories of this stuff, and they go to a therapist, and the therapist thinks, well, okay, well, they got multiple personalities, or they're schizophrenic, they're switching into all, really it's trauma-based mind control. And they're told they have dissociative disorder or things like that. And in reality, they're victims of satanic ritual abuse. And that's like why when I talk about the Satanic Temple, the Satanic Temple, which is a front to try to make Satanism look like this group of people, they love LGBT, they love people, they're so nice. They're not what a Satanist is. They don't do rituals, even though there's rituals all over their YouTube channels and stuff like that. I mean, you have to be a sucker. And unfortunately, there's many suckers who are alive and well today. Well, maybe not well, because most of those suckers took poison recently, so they might not be well, but they're alive. Actually, I don't even know if they're alive. Even if they're moving around, they might not be alive. But anyway, the Satanic Temple has two things that they focus on. They go to, they go places where there's Christian, 10 Commandments, et cetera, and they try to get it removed because they bring their Baphomet, their gay Baphomet statue, and they put it outside, and people are like, we don't want that here. And they're like, well, then take the 10 Commandments down. And they're like, all right, we'll take the 10 Commandments down, because they don't want a freak show goat with breasts and a penis outside their courthouse, right? Even though the people in the court, the judges and stuff obviously are part of it too, for the most part, maybe not in small towns, but they're part of secret societies and Freemasonry at the very minimum. So they do that. They go to abortions. Whenever there's an abortion thing or people are Planned Parenthood, they show up there and put on a charade where they dump milk on themselves like a bunch of fools. And then the other thing they do, which never gets coverage, is that there's meetings for people who are victims of satanic ritual abuse. These are people who have been abused. They go there and they mock them. They go there and they spit on them for the most part. And they're like, these people are insane. They're making it up. And think about that. If there was a group of people who all felt that they were victims of satanic ritual abuse, and they're not there like, they're pretty much there like to talk to each other like therapeutically, and they go there and mock them after what they've been through because they call them liars without any evidence, just saying, oh, they're making it up because it's satanic ritual, it's just satanic panic. I mean, it shows you how rampant it is and how, this is why the Satanic Temple focuses on that. And all of Satanists do. They constantly are putting satanic panic back out into the spotlight because they want people to hear someone like me and then automatically dismiss it because it's too much to take in, it's too depressing, And it seems to like it couldn't be possible because people are living inside of a bubble, inside of a matrix. They're not seeing it, even though it's happening right in front of them. They're seeing a different reality than we are. It's like living in space living in a world where people are living in two different realities. That's really what it's like. They just don't see it. They don't want to see it, even if they see something. So they put the satanic panic out there and things like Stranger Things. Why? Because they want people to automatically just dismiss it. But there's a reason they're bringing it up again over and over, because they continually, with technology, are getting their hands caught. Right? People are noticing this stuff. And that's why they did what they did with Pizzagate. That's why they created the PSYOP. And I wouldn't be shocked if there was one for the Balenciaga one. Oh, somebody went into the store and he saw a conspiracy theory, time for judgment, and he blew up the computer and he hurt somebody, and we have to censor conspiracy theories online, even though they're the ones who openly posted it. Oh, but we have to label it as art. They can do all this disgusting garbage in the name of art with children, etc., and get away with it. But can I name this video in the name of art? Apparently not. I can't even name it in the name of entertainment. I can't name it in the name of education. I'm just not allowed to say it or speak it because it's truth. And you would think the people who are asleep would be like, all right, why are they censoring these people so much? But that's why they create those PSYOPs, because they want to convince them that we're dangerous. Because us talking and showing you literally pictures from their Instagram account is making people do things, which is like saying somebody watched a movie and, somebody watched Die Hard and went to the airport, Die Hard 2, went to the airport and, brought a gun and did something. And they were like, well, I saw Die Hard 2 and it looked like it was really fun. And then what are you going to do? Sue Hans Gruber or whoever the killer was in Die Hard 2, right? You're going to take the movie producer to court? I mean, that's what it's like with this stuff, that they're like how they're blaming all of us for these PSYOPs. It's the same thing as saying that, right? Remember, people used to say video games, even though video games do influence kids. Like the liberals don't want to hear that because they're the ones who are sitting around playing video games all day, living in a different reality. So these are posts that they're openly putting on there. Again, this video might get taken down, so please make sure you sub to my backup channel if you haven't already. Stuff, I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is. And like, I know all this stuff and I've known it, but even seeing it play out, like it is, my mind is blown. Like, I don't sit there and go like, I'm shocked. But like, it just never stops. Like, it's just every day with these people, the stuff that they're revealing and getting caught doing, and then their spin control. You think to yourself, wow, these are, supposedly educated people, these editors at Newsweek, et cetera. And the way they spin it is so bad. It's like a kindergartner writes the articles. They're like, there's no real evidence to support that, like Snopes or whatever that garbage is called. There's no real evidence. Oh, there's not? There's just photos and there's just articles. We can't confirm that's a reliable source, right? And everybody knows the mainstream media is the least reliable source. Every single thing that they say is a lie. They don't report anything that's real, for the most part. I mean, they'll tell you about, okay, there could be like the train strike. Okay, well, that's real. But when they come out and they tell you about all these events that are occurring or the things that you need to do, give me a break. Give me a break. We already just saw the consequences of what they were doing by pushing it, whether it was Fox News or the other side, pushing that certain something on everyone, Republican or Democrat. And we just saw the consequences of it. And we're still seeing it to this day. I thank everyone for being here. Hope you're doing well. God bless you and your families.